Welcome to the premier broadcast of Vintage Vantage Points. Well, guys, it's going to be two old farts. I'm Tom.
I'm Randy.
And we're going to be talking about current events with an old school perspective. Our take on what's really going on in the world. And we want to know about what you think in the comments. So feel free to comment and be honest. This is a no holds barred, leave nothing out broadcast.
Absolutely. We want to hear from you, and we want to hear from the heart.
That's right.
Let us know exactly how you feel about things, because we're going to let you know how we feel.
And we are two patriots.
Absolutely.
We are God-fearing, country-loving, family-friendly young men. Okay, old men. I tried to sneak young in there. But we do want to hear from some of you young guys out there. We're both in our 60s, and we want to know what you think about the same things that we do. We're not too old to learn.
Yeah. We want to hear what you think about the politics that's going on in the world today, world events, everything that's happening in the United States, whether or not you agree with it, your political affiliation, whatever you feel like talking about is what we want to talk about.
Hunting, fishing, fixing your
NASCAR.
tractor, NASCAR, yeah, buddy. Ice hockey, football, anything. You might even want to know Texas Rangers baseball, yeah. Well, let's kick it off, Randy.
All right, let's get started here. I'm sure y'all are aware, because this news is about a week old, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. Has teamed up with Chris Stapleton, and they have a car called the Traveler's Whiskey, number 40 car, in the NASCAR Cup Series, and they actually, last week in Daytona, they actually placed in the top 10, I believe. I'm not a big follower of NASCAR, but I did make note of that they have that number 40 car. And it's a good-looking car, too, man. It's tan and black and orange. It's a beautiful car.
And you're talking about Chris Stapleton, the one that sings Tennessee Whiskey?
Yeah, the country singer.
Man, I love that song.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got his own whiskey brand. It's
unknown caller.
brewed. I believe the Traveler's Whiskey is brewed by Buffalo Trace Whiskey Company. They all, I mean, I could be completely wrong on that, but there is a little insignia on the car that says Buffalo Trace Whiskey. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. I might just start following NASCAR after that.
Oh yeah, that NASCAR had a big crash, and the same guy that won last year won again this year, and he was in 9th place. Can you imagine
coming from 9th all the way to first
to win?
I tell you what, I like I said, I'm not a big NASCAR follower, but to me, it's kind of like football. Yes, it's very interesting at the very start of the race to see, everybody getting into position and everything and making their maneuvers. Because that's where they're going to stay for the next, 2.5 hours?
Yes. Round and round.
And then I like to tune in till about the last 10 minutes. Because that's when all the action happens. That's when everybody's jockeying for their final position and making their final moves. And so, yeah, that's when it becomes intense. It's about the last 10, 15 minutes of the race.
And it can be deadly.
Oh, yeah.
Dale Earnhardt lost his life in one of these.
He sure did.
And he's not the only one that's lost his life on the track.
Yeah.
So it's a deadly sport if you're not careful, and accidents happen.
But luckily, Dale Jr. has picked up the family tradition and moved on with it.
Honored
And
his father.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, like I said, I'm not a follower of NASCAR. I'll catch it every once in a while and check it out.
But some of you guys are followers.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we want to hear your perspective
Yep.
on that.
Let's hear your opinion on
it. Yeah. I've got a little story. I was in Houston in 1988. A.J. Foyt had a car dealership where he sold Chevys. He had several cars out there. But I was working for the Houston Chronicle at and we did automotive street ads. So I would go get their copy and their pictures and everything. I had A.J. Foyt, Chuck Davis Chevrolet, Mike Calvert Toyota, and A.J. Foyt was out on the 610 loop. I also had Frank Gilman, all of his dealers. Yeah. But I remember it was right around the time the Challenger blew up. I was on the 610 loop. I went over to get A.J. Foyt's copy and pictures for his ad. And he said, Tom, I want you to help me to do something. You got to understand, when I got around A.J. Foyt, I was a little starstruck because I watched the guy race on TV as a kid. And he's won the Indy, 4 or 5 times? Yeah. He said, I want you to help me. And I followed him out. He had a real stiff back because his back had been broken so many times. And he said, get in the car. And I looked over thinking it was going to be one of the new cars he wanted me to drive off the showroom floor. It was his Indy winning race car that he had on the showroom floor.
Wow.
And he wanted me to sit in it so that he could push me off the showroom floor. Man, I felt like a 10-year-old kid. I got in his car and it was cramped. And he's a lot bigger than me. So, he was cramped. And then he started pushing me. And I started thinking, I'm in A.J. Foyt's winning Indy car, and A.J. Foyt's pushing me off the dealership floor. This is fantastic. Yeah, please don't crash. I thought I died and gone to heaven.
Oh, man.
But then I was supposed to turn to the right slide. He said, go ahead and turn to the right. He's pushing me out. I'm tugging on that steering wheel. I cannot turn it to save my life. And he laughed, and he said, having a little trouble? I said, yes, sir. He said, here. He reached over and he took one hand and he pulled that steering wheel down like it was butter.
Wow.
And finished pushing me off the showroom floor. Well, I had to give up my man card that day. But I tell you what, he laughed and said, he was a great sport. He said, these are meant to turn at a lot higher speeds than this. And he pushed me off the showroom floor. And that's just one of those memories from the racing that I had, and I'll carry that with me until the day I die.
That's very cool.
I was like 25 then, or 20.
You got a lot of stories like that. I've noticed Tom and I are, for those of you who don't know us very well, Tom and I are brother-in-laws. We're married to sisters. And I've heard a lot of Tom's stories over the years, and he's he's been some places. And I mean, I'm envious of him because he has been so many places and got so many stories. So you'll hear a lot of that throughout our podcast series.
We enjoy talking about what we've been through. And I guess like any old timers, you sit around and talk about all the stuff you've done.
Yeah.
And I would say, guys, if you're in one of a younger generation, just go live.
Yes.
Don't get so tied up in work that you don't have any stories, because when you get our age, all you got is stories.
For sure.
And memory.
This right here is the equivalent to 50 years ago sitting around a campfire.
Yes.
We're sharing our thoughts and memories with you guys, and we want us to share yours with us. So, that's kind of what I relate it to.
I agree.
Because I spent many a night around the campfire with my dad and my son, sharing stories
and your son's fixing to have his second baby.
He is. I'm fixing to be a grandpa.
Times two.
Times two. So, yeah, for sure. We're super proud of that.
Oh, yeah.
So okay, well let's move on to our next topic. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of y'all are aware of when U.S. played Canada in hockey last week. They started to play the national anthem, and this was in Canada. The Canadians booed the national anthem.
Can you believe that?
And,
that is
yeah.
classless.
Yeah,
No class.
Poor sportsmanship all
Yeah.
around. But we got them in the end. The USA won 3-1. So, but the funny thing about it is that pissed us off.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
that's all you got to do is make a United States citizen mad is talk bad about their country or boo their flag or national anthem.
Real patriots won't stand for it.
3 fights in the first 9 seconds. So yeah.
I saw it. That guy, they no longer got out on the ice, and he took his gloves off and threw them on the ground, and then just started wailing that man.
Yeah.
That's why I watch hockey. I don't watch it, but I don't care if they knock the puck in the little goal or not. I want to see them fight. I love the fight.
You went to a fight in a hockey game.
That's right. I went to a fight in a hockey game. That's right.
So yeah, I'm not a huge hockey fan either. I don't watch hockey. I can't say a little because I don't watch it at all.
I've been to 2 hockey games my whole life, but
yeah, a lot of my buddies are Stars fans. And
I went to a Stars game.
I respect that. You know, if that's your thing, by all means, knock stuff out. I wish I could get into hockey. If I ever got invited to a hockey game, I might go and check it out. But no, haven't ever been to one. So
yeah, it's more fun than some sports, and I really think it's because of the fight.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah.
People are just sitting on the edge of their seats waiting for somebody to get a tooth knocked out.
Yeah. Well, and if you look at hockey players, I mean, they only got like 3 teeth in their head.
They've got a commercial about that where the guys are talking about dentistry and going to see a dentist, and they don't have hardly 3 teeth in their head. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I bet the dentists are they finance their house.
Hockey team.
So okay. Well, enough about that. So have y'all heard anything about this? I don't know if this is just rumor or I saw this on the internet. So we don't know if it's true or not. I hope it is. But it says CBS has just signed Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens. Now, if you don't know who either of those are, you've lived under a rock because they are 2 beautiful newscasters that have got it going on. They know everything about everything.
Very articulate.
They are very
sharp
good
as
at
a
what
tack.
they do. Yes. CBS has just signed the 2 of them for a $700 million morning show arrival, The View.
So, I can't stand The View.
We can't get that thing off the air quick enough.
Man, they are so one-sided. And Whoopi Goldberg, I used to watch Whoopi Goldberg all the time, Randy. I liked her movies. Sister Act.
Back in the day, she was
Ghost.
a good actress.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked a lot of her movies too. Ghost was one of her best movies.
But then you throw politics in there. I don't care what she thinks about politics.
You know, and that brings up a good point. I think, my personal opinion, I think the entertainment industry needs to completely stay out of politics.
I can't watch Robert De Niro either because of that.
Yes. We don't care. Tom Hanks has a new series out called The Americas or something like that. It's kind of like the what was that show that they did? National Geographic did a couple of years ago. The Planet Earth.
Okay.
It showed a lot of close-up photography of animals and stuff like that.
He's a very talented actor.
Tom Hanks is a very talented actor, and I love some of his movies. Captain Phillips, man, that's rated right up there on my top list of movies. Yeah. But he has come out and he has made himself vocal on the how he feels about Trump.
And we don't care.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's the point I was trying to make, is that entertainment industry needs to stay out of politics.
That's right.
Do your job and make your movies. Let us be entertained by that. That's what you get paid to do. You don't get paid to tell us how to think on politics. That you lose points in my book.
Yes, you
when
do.
you start spouting off how you feel about politics and what you believe and don't believe.
And I don't care if you have an opinion on something, but don't call everybody else names that doesn't agree with you.
No, exactly.
If a person doesn't agree, be kind, polite, and let it go.
That's what makes this country great, in my opinion, again, is that there is so much diversity and everybody has their right to their own opinion. And we actually have a constitutional right, freedom of speech. That's why it was developed. Everybody has the right to talk about what they want to talk about and feel the way they feel. You don't have to agree with them, but you don't have to fight them on it to disagree with them.
You don't have to hate them.
Exactly.
And Randy, we watched this happen. We watched when they took, remember when they took the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance out of our classrooms? We were there. We went from saying the Pledge of Allegiance and a prayer every morning to not doing. We couldn't talk about anything religious or we got in trouble.
You couldn't even wear a patriotic shirt, a flag on your T-shirt or anything like that.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
And then that lady that wanted God off the money, and I can't remember her name now, but she ended up disappearing at one point. But good riddance to her. And she came out, and she was one of the very first that was really outspoken about it. If you remember her name, type it in the comments, because we watched people like her take away our rights. And I want to say this, at what point does your right to feel the way you feel outweigh my right to feel the way that I feel?
Exactly.
And in school, what had they done? They started off by taking God out and the Pledge of Allegiance. Next thing, they took discipline of our kids out. I got paddled so many times in school, but I respected my elder. I didn't backtalk. I said yes, sir, and no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Now they're hitting teachers in school.
Yeah.
Where's it going? It's going to the toilet. That's where it's going.
How do we stop this? How do we
what's the answer?
Back, to the direction of how it was when we were growing up and going to school. I mean, we got paddled. I went to Catholic schools all my life. And we got wrapped on the knuckles. We got the paddle. And I feel like I'm a better man for it.
You are.
I got disciplined, and rightfully so.
My mother used to say, "I'm going to teach you so the police and society don't have to."
Exactly.
And she was right.
Discipline starts at home.
Yes.
I mean, no question about that. But your teachers should have the right to discipline you too.
That's right.
That you cannot disrespect them. That's all there is to it. There's no question. You respect your teachers and your elders.
Have you heard some of these kids talk to their parents though?
Oh yeah.
It's all I can do to not say anything, because I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, the mom is going to listen and take that from her kids. The dad is ignoring it.
Oh yeah, he turns a blind eye to it. I guarantee you, had I talked to my parents the way some of these kids talk to them, I would have no teeth.
I'd be a hockey player.
Yeah.
I would.
Yep, we all would. We'd be hockey players. Because I guarantee you, my daddy would have set down the law.
Oh, yeah. No questions asked.
Parents nowadays have just become soft.
And that's an old school perspective. Not everybody gets a trophy. Not everybody's a winner.
That's right.
You give everybody a trophy, what are you doing? You're telling them that you don't have to do anything and you're going to be rewarded for nothing.
Yeah, just showing up.
Just show up.
Yeah.
Life's not that simple.
That's not the way we roll.
That's not American.
No. Okay, so let's see. The next topic we have on hand is, I know y'all all heard about it because this story is about a week old. But so far, as far as the last count, there was 21 people injured, including a child and 2 adults now in critical condition after Delta Flight 4819 out of Minneapolis, St. Paul, crash landed in Toronto, Canada.
Yeah.
Pearson International Airport last Monday afternoon flipped over onto its roof. And I did hear later that the cause of that was there was extremely high winds, like 90 to 100-mile-an-hour winds at that airport. So prayers go out to all those people. We wish them the best. But man, there's been a lot of plane crashes here lately.
There's been too many.
I don't know that I would fly anywhere if I had the opportunity right now.
Please wait a little.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, there's a lot of media talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and they showed this female pilot of that plane, and they said, "Here's the reason," and they put her picture out there, and I think that's the wrong approach because I don't believe in DEI at all. I think it's DEA, but to take that woman and slander her like that.
Just for being a woman pilot.
Just for being a female, period. And it just irritates the heck out of me to see them destroy that woman's life by putting her up there and saying she was a DEI hire and that's why the plane crashed. That's not why the plane crashed. Women
have worked so hard to get to where they are, to be up on the same level as men as far as the pay and the classification in their jobs and everything. God bless them. I don't want to take anything away from a woman that does her job and has the proper training for it.
That's right.
It all should be equal.
If you've got a daughter or a wife, you should think about that really hard before you start criticizing too harsh, because I do believe that there are some things that could perform better and run better if they would get rid of the DEI stuff and just go by merit and what you are good at and what you earn.
Yeah.
You don't want a 4-foot police officer taking care of 8-foot prisoners.
Right.
You've got to match the talents with the job the best you can.
Exactly.
But when you start tearing somebody's life around and tearing it up, you need to look at yourself in the mirror and quit being so harsh.
For sure.
I feel bad for that.
I do. I feel bad that for anybody that gets.
And then the one that was on the Potomac, the military helicopter that ran into the plane, it looked like they just crashed in midair.
Yeah.
And I believe that was a female, and they made a big deal out of that.
There's a lot of freaky accidents going on now, and I don't understand it. I don't want to.
It makes DEI an easy target.
It does.
And that's not fair to the people that are involved in it, because DEI has hurt our country. I'm not going to lie about that, in my opinion. But to ruin somebody's life over something that probably doesn't have anything to do with their situation is so wrong.
I mean, there's no telling what that could have been, what any of them could have been. It could have been a plane malfunction, electronic, anything like that. Could have been weather situation. We just don't know until, and that's why they do these long, drawn-out investigations.
Right.
It's to find out try to pinpoint exactly what did happen and why. And I can't stand it when people jump to conclusions and think, well, that was a female pilot. There's your answer. I mean, that's BS. I don't buy that.
I don't either. I think that that's just a further example of we take an issue like DEI, and instead of saying, okay, let's even the playing field, let's just go with merit. Whoever's good at the job, the best at the job, the one that scored the most points, that's the one that wins. Not everybody gets a trophy.
Exactly.
And base it on that. Don't base it on, well, she was a DEI hire and it's a female, so there you go. Yeah. You can't do that to people. We're still human beings. We deserve a little more respect.
They've worked hard to get to where they are.
Yes.
And if you want to ruin somebody's life like that, then that's the way to go.
Yeah.
And it's not right.
Consequences for your action.
You got to answer to God.
That's right.
Bottom line, in the end, you have to stand before God on Judgment Day, and you will have to answer to Him. So,
good luck
keep
with
that in
that.
the back of your mind at all times.
Next time somebody starts blaming everything on DEI, just tell them, now cut that out. That's right.
Okay, so I have here in my hot little hands let me back up. Tom and I are going to do every week on our podcast, we're going to do a list. Sometimes it'll be a top 10 list, sometimes it'll be a top 5 list of, things that are just going on and things that we do or don't agree with. And this week, the Doge has made the list. So I have here in my hot little hand
What is Doge?
Doge is the Department of Government Efficiency. What they do is they've created a department to go in and root out the wasteful spending, fraud, and abuse of every department, every government department across the nation,
even the military,
even worldwide.
Yeah,
that we're involved in.
It's amazing what we spend our tax money on. I cannot believe.
So anyway, I comprise a list of the top 8 things. There's tons more, but if I could continue to go on for days about this stuff because they're still uncovering all kinds of stuff about what the government has wasted money on. But we'll just start with these 8 right here. So number 8 is 20 million. I don't know if it's 20 million. That doesn't sound right to me. It's either 20 million or 2 million to create Sesame Street in Iraq.
Sesame Street in Iraq.
Now, I get it. The kids need some education along that lines. I don't want to begrudge them of that. Why are we having to pay $2 or $20 million to fund that? That's not our deal. We shouldn't even be involved in that.
Why don't we have a say so?
Exactly.
Why don't we have a say so with where our money goes?
Exactly.
If you don't pay the IRS, they'll garnish your wages. They can put you in jail. They ruin your life, and yet you don't have any say so in where your money goes.
They can spend your tax dollars, your hard-earned tax dollars that you paid in on anything they want to.
And listen to some of these things.
So, okay, number 7, $1.5 million program to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia. Workplaces and business community.
DEI is Serbia. That's not going to survey me any. I won't get a thing out of that.
Why? I don't.
Charity should begin at home. This stuff is ridiculous.
Exactly. Number 6, $47,000 on a transgender opera.
Don't even get me started on
Colombia.
That. Did you see when they had the transgender people dressed up like nuns? And they were at Dodgers, I believe it was Dodger Stadium, let them in there.
Yeah.
And they were singing and dancing, but they were misusing the cross. And there was a whole bunch of really bad stuff.
If you really dive into some of these award shows and music shows, you'll uncover some stuff that is just beyond belief. I mean, the satanic rituals and the satanic worshiping, it's rampant through, number 1, through Hollywood, and number 2, through the music industry. It turns my stomach just to think about it.
Crazy.
So, okay, number 5, $32,000. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but listen to what it's for. $32,000 on a transgender comic book in Peru. What the hell?
So we've got a few people in the government that are saying, because there's not the majority of the people are not transgender, as witnessed by the election where Trump just wiped everybody out.
Yeah, where the American people have spoken.
That's right. Who needs Peru to have a transgender book?
Comic book.
They don't need that. We don't need that. Do we get any benefit out of it?
That just
No.
blows my mind. I mean,
there's no.
When I read that, I was like, no, that can't be right. Let me make that print larger so I can make sure I'm reading.
This is our money, folks.
Yeah, our tax dollars at work. Number 4, $2 million spent on sex change operations in Guatemala. Okay, so first of all,
that's funny.
Sex change operations, you're going to have to deal with our creator when it comes down to it. I'm out on that. If that's what you want to do, if that's how you want to spend your money, that's how you want to live your life, more power to you. That's not for me to call. That's not my call to make. Not for me to judge. That's how you want to live your life, live it. But in Guatemala, we're paying for sex change operations in Guatemala.
I think that there's a lot of fraud. This is personal opinion. I think there's a lot of fraud, and there's a lot of politicians getting rich off of our tax dollars because you won't be able to show me the people that were lined up for these surgeons for that kind of money.
Exactly.
No way.
Show me the surgeons qualified
to do that.
To do that.
And if we're flying United States surgeons over there, who do you think's paying for that? Don't even get me started.
A whole nother chapter.
Jeez.
Okay, here's a good one. $6 million in funding tourism in Egypt. How about tourism in the United States? There are so many places just in the United States alone that people are completely unaware that they exist.
If they want to see something, go look at North Carolina.
Yeah.
Go look at Hawaii when it burned.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of disasters over here. If you want to send tourists over, let's go send them to the areas that need the money instead of putting money in these other places like Egypt for tourism. Put it in North Carolina to get them out of their tents so that they can have a roof over their head and warmth at
night. And just the fact that there, like I said, there's so many things just here in the United States to see that people, normal, everyday people, will never have the opportunity to see. I've been to Hawaii one time. Oh my God, that is a gorgeous place.
Yes, it is.
It is just heaven on earth. Beautiful place. How many people will ever say in their lifetime that they were able to go over there and see that? Wyoming is another place. I mean, if you've never been to Wyoming, and I've always lived in Texas. I'm a Texas born and raised native. I got the opportunity to drive a truck up into Wyoming, and I was there once a week. And that one, to me, that was a favorite part of my job, was to go into Wyoming and just see the beautiful country. Not to mention the Devil's Tower, Mount Rushmore, just things like that just would blow my mind.
Rhonda and I drove from Galveston, Texas, all the way to Bellingham, Washington. And we were on a budget, but we went all the way across the United States in 7 or 8 days. And we saw some of the most beautiful scenery that you can imagine.
Yeah.
Just on the road trip.
Yeah. And in Texas alone, there are gorgeous places to visit and see.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. Tourism in Egypt, okay, if that's your bag, fine. But I'm not going to fund it. Tom's not going to fund it.
The
American people should not be funding that.
Amen.
Okay, so, and this one right here, Tom will enlighten you on this a little bit more than I can. But when I read this again, I had to make the text a little bit bigger, make sure I read it right. $100 million on condoms to Hamas.
Hamas.
Let that sink in a minute. Condoms to Hamas. The terrorists that took all those young people's lives at that music festival, what, 2 years ago now?
It was
a year and a half.
October. Horrible.
$100 million in condoms. What were they using that for, Tom?
They were using it to make bombs.
Supplied by our government.
Our government. And what is it with these protests against Israel? I do not understand. Israel is our ally. That is our partner. And we're bound to them not only by loyalty, but we're bound to them through Christianity, through our hearts.
Read your Bible, people. I mean,
we cannot turn against Israel.
No.
These people, when they start protesting against Israel, they forget that Israel did not go to Gaza and kill 13 or 1,400 people and take all those hostages,
right.
Behead people in front of their families. On their own Facebook page, they would play those videos. We have to understand the cruelty. If you have little kids in the streets screaming death to Israel and cheering when they bring caskets by, they're ingraining hatred at an unbelievable level. And you can't fix that. You can't fix somebody's heart.
It's a disease. It's a sickness now that has spread throughout our world. And our Lord is the only one that's going to be able to stop it.
That's right. And you've got that mother and that tiny baby and his little brother, her little brother. I cannot believe they took the life. And then they paraded those caskets out.
Yeah.
Now, I understand there were some Palestinians, several that have been killed. I'm sorry for their loss. But Hamas is their leaders, their government. And their government, the leaders of their government of Hamas are terrorists. They're cruel terrorists. And they only have one thing in mind, and that is to wipe out Israel. And they say it from the river to the sea. They chant it. And they're chanting it in the United States now. People, we got to get right with God and get out of that. It scares me.
It is a sick world we're living in now, and there's going to come a judgment day. These people will pay for what they've done, and it can't come soon enough.
Too many lives have been lost. We've got wars breaking out all over the world.
Yeah,
we've got to get a grip on them.
Okay, so the number one thing, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is what the database has shown. It lists 12 million. This is just scratching the surface. I know my teachers used to say that in school all the time. We're just scratching the surface. And it's true. This is just scratching the surface. The database lists 12 million people older than 120 years old eligible for Social Security.
Nobody's watching anything.
No.
All our money's going right. They'll say, "Oh, you won't have Social Security when you're ready to retire." It's that stuff right there.
They're saying in 10 years, Social Security will no longer be. It will be dried up. It'll be a thing of the past. This is why. My God, you're taking our money and just blowing it. Where is that?
There was like 800 people that were over 300 years old.
300 years
300. And they're getting checks. I wonder if they voted.
I'm sure they did. Well, Joe Biden, 8 million votes. I mean,
he wasn't more popular than Obama.
No.
And he got more votes than Obama?
Yeah, exactly.
I smell a rat.
I smell several. So, okay, that's it for the top 8 list.
Now
for the
cut that out.
for the DOGE Doge. So okay, so let's move on to some lighter things in the news, or not in the news.
Yeah, we got heavy. Let's get light.
Yeah, let's lighten up a little bit. Let's get serious. Let's get serious.
Party time.
Serious for a moment.
Serious?
Okay, that's long enough.
Okay.
All right. Did you know that if you garden in your backyard naked, your neighbors will build you a fence?
I think you're right.
I know mine would.
And it might be a privacy fence.
Do you know a hashtag actually has a name for it? It's called a octothorpe.
No, I didn't know that. Octothorpe.
Octothorpe.
Huh.
And the folds in a chef's hat, there's 100 folds in a chef's hat. Do you know what they represent?
A wrinkled hat.
100 different ways to cook an egg.
No. Really?
Who knew?
Huh.
You know that some cats are allergic to people?
No.
I didn't either. I could care less about that. I'm not a cat person. Although we have had a cat hanging around our house pretty much ever since we moved in back in last August. Never seen a mouse or a rat or anything. He stays outside and we feed him so he will come back and do his job. But they are beneficial. Now I'm not an indoor cat person. I will never.
Barn cats are great.
Yeah, barn cats. I mean, they serve a purpose. So you know that the unicorn is the national animal of Scotland?
No, I didn't know
I
that.
had no idea. I mean, explain that to me. A unicorn is a
mythical beast.
Fictitious animal.
Yeah.
So
there's a reason. There's got to be a reason.
Yeah.
If y'all know, put it in the comments. I want to know.
Probably some mythology, or I don't know what you call it. Something to date back in the.
Or somebody's blowing too hard on their bagpipes. Got a little bit. Said, I don't know what makes it a unicorn.
Inhaling too hard on the bagpipes. What's in that bagpipe? Let's see. Okay, the longest known living organism is an aspen grove. Now, the aspen trees that grow up in Colorado. Every aspen tree shares the same DNA.
Really?
Yeah. So that's it for useless information for the day.
I know some old aspens.
I know some big aspens. How does Dawn soap? You know, you see the commercials of Dawn soap, cleaning that little duck, getting all the oil and grease off of him and everything. How does it clean a duck, the oil and grease off a duck, but it can't get the spaghetti stains out of a Tupperware bowl?
I don't know. That's a good question. It does stain your Tupperware bowl.
Does. It really
Any of those plastic bowls are red for months after that.
So each week here on Vintage Vantage Points, we are going to mention a channel of the week. So if you want to nominate somebody to be channel of the week for something they've done, or a new channel, or something like that, by all means send us a text or an email or something. Get a hold of us and let us know who you want to nominate. We'll for sure put them up there. So this week's channel of the week is two old buddies of mine that I pretty much grew up at Coca-Cola with. Worked with them for years and years. They've started their own podcast channel called Express Mail. That's Express Mail, Male. The channel is to talk about guy things, like NASCAR, for instance. I hope I didn't steal any of their thunder talking about that, but they're two really, really good guys, really good longtime friends of mine, Kevin and Casey. go check out their channel, their podcast. You'll get a kick out of it. They do some good stuff. They have guests on there, and I can't say enough good things about them. They're like I said, they're longtime friends of mine. So go check them out. Express Mail.
And you've been on there.
I was their first guest on one of their podcasts a couple of weeks ago. We talked about deer hunting and things like that, things of that nature. So, and I had a blast doing it, and I appreciate them having me on.
Tell them about Tristan's, your son's season.
Oh man, y'all,
deer hunting season.
For those of you who deer hunt out there, I have deer hunted probably since I was about 6 years old. I was brought up with it from my dad. He introduced me to it, and it's been in our family. It's been a family tradition for many, many, many years. And so I wanted to bring my son up the same way and introduce him into it. So I got him into it about the same age, around 5 or 6 years old. And he killed his first deer. I think he was, oh gosh, I have to think back now. I want to say.
Stop right there. As Paul Harvey would say, tune in next week for the rest of the story. We've had a great time on Vintage Vantage Points, just getting to share our opinions, and we look forward to reading your comments. Tune in next week to hear Randy tell the rest of the deer hunting story and lots more action, plus a call-in line. Welcome to the premiere broadcast of